the trade battle between Canada and the United States has taken a dramatic turn, one that has shaken both sides. What started as a series of tense negotiations over trade has now erupted into a full-blown dispute with far-reaching consequences. At the center of it all is Prime Minister Mark Carney, whose position is weakening as the fallout from Canada's decision to impose tariffs on American goods intensifies. For months, tensions have simmered between the two North American giants, but Canada's most recent move slapping tariffs on a range of American goods, including orange juice, motorcycles, and kitchen appliances has raised the stakes. Washington didn't see this as a simple negotiation tactic. It was viewed as an outright betrayal. President Donald Trump wasted no time in responding, accusing Canada of backstabbing the United States and undermining the Free Trade Agreement, USMCA. Trump made it clear, if Canada wanted to play hardball, America was ready to fight back. The response from the U.S. ambassador to Canada only escalated matters. He went further than Trump, claiming that Canada had pulled the rug out from under the USMCA deal, and that the entire agreement was now in jeopardy. This was a harsh blow to Carney and his team, who had hoped to present themselves as strong negotiators standing up for Canadian interests, but now, they find themselves in damage control mode, struggling to defend a position that's looking increasingly untenable. Trump's strategy is clear and unyielding. He doesn't bluff when he says he'll take action. He does. His approach is simple. America's interests come first, and leverage will always be in his pocket. For Carney and Canada, that means complying with the rules that Washington sets or facing the consequences. While Trump can confidently make threats because his economy is robust and diverse, Canada's reliance on American markets makes its position far more precarious. When Canada retaliated with tariffs, it wasn't a subtle move. Ottawa targeted American goods tied to key industries and swing states in the hopes of applying pressure through domestic backlash. Orange juice from Florida, motorcycles from the Midwest, and other products became significantly more expensive for Canadian consumers. The strategy aimed at creating a political ripple, hoping to push Washington into rethinking its stance. But instead of softening the U.S. position, it had the opposite effect. It strengthened it. The U.S. ambassador's comparison of Canada's retaliation to China's aggressive trade response shocked many in Ottawa. To be likened to China after decades of partnership with the U.S. was a stark reminder of how far the relationship had deteriorated. The American response has been to flip the blame squarely back on Canada, accusing Ottawa of breaching the trust that was essential to CUSMA. Washington's narrative now portrays Canada as the aggressor, undermining the deal they once negotiated so hard to secure. Trump's team has also taken issue with how Canadian politicians have handled the situation. Some provincial leaders went as far as pulling American liquor off store shelves and urging Canadians to avoid traveling to the U.S. While these actions may have been seen as protests in Canada, they were interpreted by the U.S. as petty, unproductive moves that only escalated tensions without addressing the real trade issues at hand. Trump seized on this, framing the situation as evidence that Canada wasn't negotiating in good faith. Instead, Ottawa seemed to be focused on scoring political points, further strengthening Trump's position. The bigger issue here is the long-term viability of the CUSMA agreement. The U.S. is now openly questioning whether Canada can be trusted to stick to the deal. Given that nearly 75% of Canadian exports go to the U.S., any collapse of the agreement would hit Canada hard and fast, with factories and workers bearing the brunt of the pain. For Carney, this is a high-stakes game. On the surface, he can stand firm, but behind closed doors, the pressure is mounting. Without access to the American market, Canada's economy would likely face a rapid decline. Trump, with his dealmaker mindset, holds the cards. He can turn the screws without worrying about the U.S. economy collapsing, but Canada doesn't have that luxury. So, as the battle over CUSMA rages on, one question remains: can Canada turn this around? If the trade dispute continues to escalate, the future of North American trade might be reshaped in ways no one can predict. With both sides digging in their heels, Carney's task is now not just to defend Canada's position, but to ensure the survival of the very trade deal that has kept the two countries closely tied for decades.